MRIs or whatever, those guys, they get financed in a week. Your commissions are really high. That we're talking 30, 40K machines, and you'll get like 2 to 10 grand on it, depending on who you're affiliating to. An MRI is like 350 grand, right? And you'll get really good money off of that, maybe 20, 30 grand off of it, right? How do you find them though? You don't try to go directly or door to door or anything like that to those actual medical people. What you do is you go to equipment salespeople, right? You can actually do this on LinkedIn, and you can use like Meet Alfred to, and like you get Sales Navigator, right? And with Sales Navigator, you just narrow it down to people who are just doing medical equipment sales. And then you use Meet Alfred to like send those people messages, and you connect with them to like make friends. What you're looking for is what we call MVPs, most valuable partners, okay? And those people, when they're actually connecting with you just because they like you or whatever, they'll throw you a bone because they have tons of leads that they're closing on like equipment sales, like they're selling MRIs or selling, radiology machines, whatever. But they're people that are not buying them from them because they just, not because they don't want to buy it, but because they don't have the cash for it. So those are sales they're losing. So this becomes mutually beneficial. So it's not you trying to take something, it's about you giving something. So what you ask them for is you don't ask them, hey, can you send me some leads of people that are buying machines? You say, hey, can you send me some of your dead leads of people who couldn't buy because I can get them financed? Or you say, can you give me some of the people that, because a lot of these guys have financiers that they work with, but they usually work with like one bank, like RCB Bank or something like that. And you go, hey, can you send me your declines? That's an even better question because now you already know they're working in the finance world. Because what you don't want to do is try to teach. You don't want to try and like teach a doctor about financing. You don't want to try and get the trust. That takes too much time. It's such a long sales thing. You want those bottom of the funnel leads that are like desperate for what you want, those people in pain, right? People will take their aspirin before they'll take their vitamins, right? You always want to sell to the pain more than the pleasure, right? And so from there, you get their declines and then you work those declines, okay? Once you get those declines, you can flip some of them into sales because you probably have a boutique of different lenders you can break them out to if you're a broker, right? And
Explain.
100%, right? And but now you're niched into one thing. Now you change your entire LinkedIn to be all about like, hey, I do financing for medical equipment, da 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 da, right? You don't like everything else that comes to you, you'll take it, it's bonus, right? Some of those people, once you connect with them, like those doctors or whatever, they're going to need working capital. They're going to need other funding tools too, right? But you get in the door with like the lowest hanging fruit that's going to make you the fastest money literally in a week or two. Because funding is a tough game when you're making all back end fees, dude. So I understand like how you could be waiting 30, 60, 90 days to make your money. This allows you to make some quick cash, some good money. Now, I don't want to give you the impression of this is easy. This is just easier than the route of just trying to sell to every person on the planet. If you're everything to everyone, you're nothing to no one, right? So you do that for like, I don't know. I would say commit to that process for at least on the low end 4 months, And I'm talking about like 20 messages a day if you're not paying for Navigator. But if you are paying for Navigator, then you could probably do like 30 to 40 messages a day. The reason I say use tools like meetalfred.com is because it'll cap you so you don't go into LinkedIn jail from sending too many messages in a day, right? So
Okay.
all of your connection should be like medical equipment stuff. And then what you do to like get into conversations with these guys is you say, hey, like you have ChatGPT or Perplexity tell you all the medical equipment sales events, and you like ask them, hey, are you going to this event? Are you going to this event? Are you going to this event? So it starts the conversation. And then if you pop into those events, if you go to like medical equipment sales events that happen every single month, and you just like go there and you're the only person doing financing for medical equipment there, you're going to be like, you're going to be shooting fish in a barrel versus if you try to go to like some funding event where like there's a bunch of funding guys and it's like the meat seller selling meat to the meat seller. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's those are my tips. That'll get you like, that'll get you to like 10, 20K a month, if you're not there yet for sure. So those are my tips on client acquisition, and it's repeatable and you don't have to waste money on ads. And one good MVP can be like 5 to 10 clients. So I would encourage you to create a roster of at least 100 to 200 MVPs and then star your like top 10 or 20. You can pay them commissions on the back end. Some of them will ask. I've gotten people like tickets to the Celtics games or whatever like team they like. Like I like to give like special gifts like giftology just because, it'll make the person love you more. If you get them something that shows you you're thinking about them. But if you're, you just want to give out commissions, that's cool too. But it's all about that relationship more than anything else. So try to find people that vibe with you because I promise you, whoever else they're sending their leads to for financing, these medical equipment guys, they are not connected to them. They might not even like them. Sometimes those guys put them on the back burner because those guys work for banks and they don't need leads like you do, and they're not like hunting for leads. And here's another cool tip. When you get one of their decline files, even if you can't find financing for it, don't tell them right away you can't find financing for it. Give them the feeling that you're hunting and you're turning over every stone for at least a week or 2 or 3 days, because then they'll be more encouraged to give you another lead because they're like, man, this guy follows up with me. He's very responsive, and more importantly, he's really trying. They don't know what trying looks like, but they know what not trying looks like. And not trying is just like not replying, not ghosting, or saying no, I can't help you, which is what they usually get. So be different in that regard. You'll stick out to those MVPs, and those MVPs will be more valuable than any customer you could ever get because they'll lead you to tons more customers and they're hunting every day. They're the ones doing door to door. They're the ones like really doing hardcore sales and they're the ones building the trust. What you're doing is you're getting lent trust from them versus trying to build trust with a doctor or whatever, which is way, way harder. Okay. So hopefully that's helpful.
It is. Thanks,
You're welcome. Good
Elijah.
Yeah,
question.
that's, go ahead. Who was that? Anybody? I can hear somebody's background. I'm not sure who it is. Okay. What else you guys got? Michael, you were the other Michael. Sorry, Michael Ando. I don't know if you wanted help with something. You said you were starting up an AI company. Just wanted to give you an opportunity to get some help if you needed it.
Yeah, if you have like any advice, like any software I could use, maybe some marketing. And I do
The
AI
world is
art.
your oyster in this group here. You've got all kinds of resources. And I
Yeah.
know, yeah, Kenny would love to help you.
Yeah, so I wasn't here, for your introduction, so forgive me. I was looking at some baby pictures of my nephew. Uh but yeah, man, let me hear about the idea. Like what are you looking to do?
Like an AI ad agency, so I can help businesses get more clients, like automate stuff, maybe help them with marketing to get more clients, get some more customers. Yeah,
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, if you use Claude, something like that, you could probably bang that out within a day, right?
yeah.
You could definitely, sit down with me for a coffee chat. I could guide you through it, or how the platform works, or if you just want to DIY it. Um, but one thing I can tell you is that the market is kind of saturated with that, right? A lot of people are catching on to, hey, I can use AI to build a sales agent,
Yeah.
right? So I would ask you first and foremost what your key differentiators would be, right? What would make you different from these other guys who also have sales agents who are also helping people attain leads?
I'm not really sure. Maybe I use AI art, so maybe that could help me be different, like create really beautiful ads that can catch people's eyes. Maybe something like that. So if y'all need help, I can help y'all. And send me an email at mikeyando@gmail.com. I put it in the chat. So you can email me or text me. And I can
Okay, I
send
would
you my AI
say,
art, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Another thing that you could try, and one thing that I don't see a lot of AI sales agents doing is, like you could lean into the artistry aspect of it. But another thing I would say is actually pulling from data sources that would convert straight away. You know what I mean? Like that's actually one of the things that I'm working on currently is a lead generation platform that kind of nails down that ICP to a T, right? If you're saying they have this level of income, they're in this industry, they're in this area, they're in this type of field, then it's going to search for those people through relevant sources, right? Whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, right? Do they have black hair, brown hair? As descriptive as you want to be, right? And then from there, it'll actually pull from all these different data sources, compile them, store them, and then make a list of, hey, here's who are the most qualified. It'll vet them for you. It'll start up a conversation via email, right? Even send them a video. You know what I mean? Send them a quick demo. Hey, here's the company. Here's what we do. So I would say that would be a good way to get your foot in the door, right? Differentiate is how much are you introducing them to one, your brand voice, two, who Michael is, and three, what Michael offers that other AI sales agent companies don't.
Okay.
Um, I wanted to just because it seemed like at least two people here, um, and possibly more need to narrow down more their ideal customer profile or their niche. And I'm wondering, like, would it be helpful if we shared how we found our niches and like what, because I've got a couple niches and I have a pretty unique story about them. So I'd be happy to share, but if it's not helpful, I don't want to waste time talking about that if somebody's got something more pressing.
I'll say, when it comes to niches, a lot of people automatically assume it is an industry. And that couldn't be further from the truth. It is not always an industry. So we sell to, gosh, everything from Amazon affiliates to attorneys to um, brick and mortars, local businesses, um, large enterprises. I mean, it is all over the place. You name it, I've probably got someone in that category. We are more going after a specific avatar within the company. Don't care what company it is. So, and we do that by our marketing and advertising and what we put on our website and things like that. We market a CRM. A lot of people have no idea what a CRM is, and that's great. Those aren't my customers. My customers are people that are either in corporate, they've been in corporate retail, they understand what a CRM is, and we don't, we never talk about, especially in our marketing and our social media, we never talk about we're going to get you more leads, we're going to get you more appointments, we're going to do this or that, because we're not going to do crap. You're going to get exactly what you put in because that's how a CRM works. If you put it in, you'll get it out. If you put garbage in, well, you're going to get garbage out. And so by us doing our marketing that way, we're creating a segment of an audience that they understand exactly what a CRM is and what the inherent benefit is and what the work they have to put in and the commitment they have to make to using it. So therefore, we're creating a niche, just not by industry, not by company size or anything like that. And so we're able to, one of the reasons we have very low churn. Last year, we averaged 2.7 percent churn for the entire year. We don't ever lose customers. We kill it on onboarding, we kill it on support, so we're able to maintain them. But it's also because we're finding the people that are looking for exactly what we're offering. They're not looking for more leads. If they need more leads, they can go get more leads. That's never an issue. If they, need to convert better, if they need to maintain their current database better, that's usually why they're looking at a CRM, or they need more tools or whatever it may be. Um, so I just want to say, don't think that a lot of people will say, oh, well, you need to go after plumbers or electricians or this or that. They think of categories of industries, and that's just simply not what a niche really is. It could be, I want to work with businesses with 3 to 5 employees that are generating X in revenue or X in income. And there's a big distinction there between income and revenue. Income is just all the money coming in. That doesn't mean anything. Revenue is what you're left with after all your expenses and everything that you're putting into the business, payroll and costs. And revenue is what you pay attention to. They could have all the income in the world, but that doesn't mean they have any money left to spend if they have no revenue. So, that's a niche, saying 3 to 5 employees and they've got X revenue between this and that, 50 and $100,000 of revenue every single month. Okay, that's a niche. I want to work with women-led businesses. That's a niche. Maybe it's Black women, maybe it is Hispanic women. Those are all niches or sub niches. The woman-led business would be your niche. You could even go down further and say, well, I want to focus primarily on Black women-owned local businesses. That is a very tight sub niche. But what you're able to do is really put all your marketing, all your website, your emails that you send out, you're able to target a very specific persona. Things that you know they face as an African American woman owning a business, and you can address those pain points and how you're going to treat them differently than what they may normally see in the market when they're dealing with suppliers or vendors. Getting down to a sub niche when you're first starting is very beneficial because you're able to focus just in on one person. That's it. And so just think about niches that way. Don't go down the disastrous route of thinking, oh well, I have to pick a business industry. That's not what a niche really is. So just wanted to say that.
I agree with everything you just said. Elijah.
I always thought that it was weird that the hand raise for black people is like black hand when it's not black on the front side. But either way, I just wanted to talk about this niche topic. For anyone who cares, there's a workbook that I think I just sent to one person by mistake. Let me go and send it to everybody. That we have in our back office that we give to some of our students. That's specifically about how to identify your target market. Because when it comes to niches, I agree with everything Charles says, but I do want to take a caveat to it. There's two sides to it. Like there's the what he's talking about with like the black woman or the psychological makeup of a niche, right? Like sometimes it could be faith-driven leaders because you're a Christian and you vibe well with Christians, or it could be like I have a lot of leads from the Black Business Directory. However, every single black person in the directory is not a good client for me, right? So I work better with people that have a certain revenue number. I work better with people who have a certain credit score and also a need, right? And a desire, right? Like I work well with people whose businesses are growing, right? Versus people who are, I call them like more so like not moving anywhere, like entrepreneurs, right? Like, those part-time entrepreneurs, so to speak. But that's just me. But to identify your niche, you want to look at the psychological makeup and you want to look at the physical makeup, right? And the easiest way to do it if you already have clients is to look at who are your favorite clients? Like who are the ones that are the easiest to fulfill for? Who are the ones that you have the most success with, right? And the other thing you can do is you can survey those clients, right? You can actually go ahead and just literally do some phone calls with them and say, hey, what was it that you liked about working with us? So you can get a little bit into that psychological part of the reason why they chose to work with you, right? And you'll kind of, what I started to do, and I still do this now when I close a deal, is I like to ask selfishly right before they buy, why us? So I ask 3 questions of like, hey, do you have enough time to actually work on this? Like, how much time do you have on a weekly basis? Because there's some back and forth when it comes to our team. The second question I like to ask is like, why now? Because I don't want them to tell me the not now objection. So if they tell me that they need to do it now, then that gets rid of that objection. And then the last thing I say is, why us? Why do you want to work with us? And I've heard people say, oh, because, I mentioned the Black Directory. Some people say, because you're a referral. I've heard people say, I really like the way that you empower us and teach, right? But that'll give you clues on what your ideal avatar is thinking and feeling, and then you can mold your marketing to speak to them before they come in through the door, right? You can make everything that you do kind of wrapped around that avatar, and that avatar may not have a certain look or color or feel, but they may feel a certain way on the inside, and they may feel a certain way about their business. And I do want to share with you, like I say that my ideal client isn't someone who is a entrepreneur, but that doesn't mean I haven't worked with someone who doesn't have a business yet, right? Like I've worked with people who had jobs, who want to start a business, but they're serious about it. So it's like it's a different type of mentality. So yeah, I do think that all of those nuances matter, but you can use this workbook and literally just like write in the different things about the avatar that you're thinking you should have, and you can like actually parse it out and it's pretty comprehensive. So Nate definitely has some good advice about this niche stuff. But yeah, no, I for sure think that it's something that you can also test. I mean, when I came to my avatar, it came through tons of trial and error. I made the mistake of having Craigslist ads. Good Lord, the phone calls I got, I wish I never got. It was like the worst time of my life. I've done Facebook ads where I wasn't targeting, and that was messy in the funding world because there's a lot of people who are just like, shady to say the least, right? on the internet when they're trying to look for funding. They're like, "Hey man, can I get some funding that I don't pay back?" And it's like, I don't want to coach you. Like it's not the type of person I want to, because like they're gonna leave me a bad review or whatever. It's just not gonna be good for my reputation. And then I try to niche to trucking. So like I had a whole avatar, big rig genius, and I made the mistake that Charles said you shouldn't make, right? Like I was like, I'm gonna pick an industry. And when I picked that industry, I learned very quickly that truckers spend too much time in their truck to actually sit down and do all the steps we want them to do. And some had success, but not as many, and I didn't like working with them either, right? So some of it can be trial and error, but just be ready to pivot when you find something that just doesn't feel right vibrationally, or just you're not your clients aren't getting enough success. The best clients when you're new, I would say always try to solve a problem for someone who has a lot of money. That makes your job a lot easier, right? Because then you're not like worried about closing the deal. You're not worried about fulfillment, in a lot of ways. And now you're just dealing mostly with the psychology of the person. And then second, try to pick people that you feel like you can speak their language. Like if you've worked in a specific industry in the past and you know it like the back of your hand, it's going to be easier to speak their language and speak their pain points and things of that sort. So try to think, from where you're at, more so than go out into the market and just try to find out what everybody else wants, because that could be overwhelming, right? So figure out what works for you, and that's a good way to start. And then from there, you can differentiate or iterate or whatever. But for most business owners that I've met, it does take a bit of trial and error.
I just want, Nate, we were talking about like how we found our niches. A couple people have, they have services they want to offer, but they might not have figured out who they want to target. So I was just gonna share my story a little bit. So my one-on-one service is full charge accounting. And I have industry niches because that's what an accounting niche kind of is. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. I could be wrong. However, my niches are cannabis and contractors, and I chose them for a reason. One, I, in college hadn't had an interest in cannabis and wanted to be, I just had a feeling that someday we were going to see it legalized. And I wasn't living in Maine at the time. I was living in Virginia and then New Jersey. And I still was just like watching the industry. Things were starting, walls were starting to come down. And I was like, I want to be a part of it. And I was probably more of a consumer back then than I am now. But it was less about, I mean, my interest was because I was a consumer, but it was mostly because I wanted to see something that I didn't think should be illegal be not illegal, and I wanted to participate in it. And then once I found my way in, which was for me, it was Instagram and connecting with other service providers in the industry and showing up with integrity and genuine interest in the industry. That's how I broke into it. And then the contractors are because I have family in that industry, but also because it's really challenging accounting. And hold on.
Yeah, I may get at
I'll
least
have to
some
do that, Elijah.
background noise over here.
Yeah, I don't know where that is.
You just gotta mute Michael Kirkpatrick. If you want to like make me
Michael, sorry,
co-host, I'll
you.
manage all that stuff like that in the background.
Got it.
Got you.
I can totally do that. So the contractors I chose just because it's hard and I like doing hard stuff. And it's also big numbers, big revenue, but it also requires like some specialty. And I'm just kind of a nerd. And so I wanted to do the hard stuff. And then as I started to grow my business, the business Kickstart Accelerator idea came to fruition because I was getting a lot of calls, and as you choose your niche, you'll likely get calls that aren't in the niche, but especially if you're choosing like really high achieving things, the easier ones that come along are a no-brainer that you take on. And then as that happens and you start to build rapport and people start to hear your name, I was getting calls from people who are like, eventually they want to work with me, but they're not quite ready yet. So I started the accelerator, which targets it's kind of a pretty broad target market, but it's for business owners or aspiring business owners realistically making under 500K a year because they're not quite ready to hire a one-on-one accountant or can't quite afford it. But I believe genuinely that it's important to know what your numbers are, how to get them where they're coming from. So people who want to learn that stuff before they're, the multimillionaires. Kenny and anyone else who'd like to go.
Yeah, so thank you, Abby, for sharing. And Elijah really brought up an excellent point about pivoting, right? Once you find that niche, right, it's easy to expand from there, right? Choose route A, route B, reroute yourself, right? Um, so for myself, two of my main niches are like fashion and I would say health and wellness, right? The reason why I chose fashion is because one, I'm pretty stylish, right? Outside of my professional, you know, background. But yeah, it's also an industry that I could really speak to. You know what I mean? Like I definitely keep up with the latest, urban wear, streetwear, who's wearing what at the Met Gala, right? What brands are performing well. Um, and also my girlfriend, right? She's crazy about this stuff. Um, so yeah, that was one of the main reasons. So I figured I could apply my marketing background, my business knowledge towards those clients, right? Because I would be able to speak to them a little bit, speak their language, like Elijah was saying. Um, and then the second niche, I found my way into health and wellness again because of a personal story. I'm not going to tell you guys the whole spiel, but the girlfriend that I mentioned, she had a huge health scare, right? She was diagnosed with something very life-threatening. Thank God she got through it, right? It's in remission, and we're happy and healthy today, right? But that was a huge wake-up call, right? Because there's a whole bunch of health and wellness companies and non-for-profits that aren't getting the spotlight that they deserve, right? Who maybe have like such a noble cause, right? Like providing funding for a certain incurable disease, for research, right? A, B, and C, providing medical equipment to those who need it. Which again, Elijah, we could probably link up and talk a bit more about that. Because I'm working with a company like that right now who sells medical equipment. Um, but yeah, those two things I feel like really resonated with me, right? So those were where my clients started out, right? Like a few small urban wear e-commerce stores, right? Helping them get more traction, more traffic across social media, revamping their websites. And then those fashion guys referred, other industries, right? Now they're referring, like manufacturers. Manufacturers are recommending, these other companies that are in, retail, production. They make toys, they make snacks, Um, and then the health and wellness people, they're referring, you know, distributors of medical equipment. They're referring chiropractors. They're referring, this, that, and the third. So the point is that once you find your niche, right, you can pinpoint it. You can have those conversations with those people, build up your network, and then that could lead to the next referral, right? And like Elijah was saying, it depends on how you treat them, right? When you have that first conversation, are you just after the check, right? Are you just after the contract? Or is this somebody that you see real potential in that could open the door to where you would really like to see your next opportunity come from?
Trevor posted in the chat. Trevor, I'm gonna read this or most of it. So Trevor's launching a new business. He does team building and leadership development. He's on 8 different social platforms. Hasn't had a sale yet and wants to do one-on-ones with businesses once his business cards arrive. Um, how do I get my services out there further than social media or maybe another approach to how I'm currently doing it? I am sure, Trevor, you're gonna get an earful right now. So be prepared. Nate, take it away. You're muted.
What's up, Trevor? I know that I'm probably late, so you don't know what I do. I'm in marketing and PR, basically helping brands grow. Um, So first thing is, I'm pretty sure most people are going to say this: focus on one platform. Right now, you're on 8 different platforms, which means there's 8 different audiences for that platform. Even though you're trying to talk to one, which means that you have yet to find your message. Right. Once you find your message on one platform, then you can start expanding. Um, so since you're in the business services, I'm always going to recommend LinkedIn. Right. Abigail hates LinkedIn, even though she should be on it, but LinkedIn is always a good way to kind of figure out how you need to talk to your audience, especially being a B2B business. So my suggestion is start with the first one, um, and then just work on your messaging, work on the content you're creating, work on your audience, run surveys, do a lot of different things just to understand the type of content you need to create and the content that your audience is going to like and actually receive well before starting with 8 different platforms.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I use Social Link, which puts it all together to where I put one post and then it goes to those 8 platforms at once.
Okay, so is the conversation the same? So basically, actually, you just answered that. So the conversation is the same, even though it's different audiences.
Correct.
That's the problem.
Okay.
If I may
I
add
would
one thing about
say,
it,
oh, go ahead.
just the easiest thing, and it's the tip off. Even if you stick to one platform, let's say Instagram or Facebook, usually the platform want to show your content to whoever they think is relevant, and in most cases, they really reduce the amount of people that are actually going to see it. So the easiest tip off into that is literally using the Facebook ads, meta ads platform to push it forwards to the audiences you want if you're engaged in creating content. Theoretically, you can do the same thing in LinkedIn, but in LinkedIn, you can really do what great suggestion that came up over here, which is reaching the people directly based on their professions because LinkedIn shows it. But if you're in the social media sphere, you should get a leg up and actually push it around to the various audiences using their platform because they really limit whoever sees this thing, especially if you have a smaller following.
I would like to add, for me, as a business service provider, my business cards are not they're not really an asset for me. They don't do shit. I did spend big money on some a while back that definitely helped, but it was when I was like really actively going hardcore to in-person networking events and like really in within my niche within cannabis. So they stood out within the cannabis realm. They were square with gold foil and they cost me a fortune. They definitely helped. But at this point in time, like don't let your business cards be a thing that holds you back. What you should do instead is um reach out to other service providers that serve your ideal client. For me, it was lawyers. Lawyers got me in the door because they wanted their clients to be compliant. Um, so like that broke me through the industry. I mean, I got one lawyer and then within a year and a half, I had to say, I can't take any more of your clients. Because my client base is a recurring customer. So it's like I hit a max capacity at some point until I'm able to grow and deal with that. And at that time with COVID and the sales that were going on in my industry, I couldn't take more. But that was like for me, connecting with other people who serve my same industry is what it took. Um, Elijah.
So I have this business coach on my team who always says it says like if you do free stuff, you typically get free results, you know? So I kind of like and I'm sorry if I say your name wrong, Yogav, of like, doing meta ads and paying for the actual audience you want. I've done the same thing Abigail has said with wasting time with cards. This was one of the cards that I used in the past, which is like says my website on the inside. So when I was networking, I would be like, they're like, oh, can I have your card? And I'd give them like this $100 bill. And I was like, oh, that's a cool thing. And no results from it. So I agree that you don't need to waste your time with cards. I think a QR code is actually more effective, especially if it's connected to a CRM like Charles is talking about. So that way they enter into your system and they have a drip campaign. And most people need to see you 7 to 10 times before they say yes or trust you. And the best way to really get your first clients, I agree with Harmozy on this, is give it away for free, like, and when I mean by give it away for free is, on your socials, if you really want to get some traction, do like 30 days of lives in a row and be like, hey, I'm going to work with 5 people for free. There's going to be some stipulations. I'm going to be selective, right? And with that, you can get testimonials on the front end. You can get some fulfillment stuff on the back end. You can also say, hey, part of the stipulation is you have to give us a referral if you get some results, and you have to give us a good Google review, and that can give you some momentum and traction and an understanding of how to get your ideal avatar. One of my clients, I remember you said you work with teachers somewhat, something like that, or you work with schools, right? Organizations. I have a client who does the same. And what I had her do was I told her to do luncheons for superintendents and principals, right? Because it's an easy group to target. It's an easy group to email. They like free food, okay? They'll show up and you'll have a captive audience. And then with that luncheon, what Belanle does, and by the way, she doesn't even pay for it. So I had her also get sponsors because there are people who would love to sponsor stuff for schools, right? So it didn't cost her a dime, right? And it's like a couple grand, so it's not a lot. She just has like, banners from like whatever bank or whoever that's doing it. And Belanle will run these luncheons, and at the luncheon, she is basically doing her sales presentation. She's basically just like doing it in a group, and then she sets up one-on-ones from there. And then when she does the one-on-ones, now she can work on her closing process, and then we could talk about that and get that better. So I like that, like putting all of them in one room, and that also automatically gives you a sense of authority, right? And hosting your own event. And if you go to networking events, go to networking events that have like all of those teachers there or all of the whatever avatar it is that you want and only spend time inviting them to your event. A lot of times people go to networking events and because they say people work with people who they like, know, and trust, they try to spend time like finding out like what someone's favorite baseball team is when they're hanging out, and that goes nowhere. But if you like have something to give, like being a go-giver, not a go-getter, right? Something to give them for free when you show up, people will appreciate that. And the law of reciprocity will show that, right? Because if you like do the Gary Vee approach of like, jab, 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 right hook, right? Where it's like, I'm giving you so much that eventually when I ask for a sale, it's going to feel like they'll feel indebted to you. That works really well. So you give them the free event, and at the free event, you give them like a copy of your book. And then at that event, you give them a free consultation. And then after the free consultation, you give them some free follow-up assessment. And then after that, they meet with you one more time and they're like, well, how do I like you didn't even ask me for money. Like, how do I work with you? Like, what does it cost? It's like, oh, I'm glad you asked, And that's the easiest way if you don't feel like you have the sharpest, sword when it comes to sales, is to just create that law of reciprocity and create that authority. And that's something you can bootstrap. It won't cost you a ton of money. And then before you know it, you'll be rolling in leads. It will take time. Okay. It's not the fastest way. I think the meta ads is the fastest, right? Because you can go directly to your ideal avatar. Just got to make sure you have the right copy, the right ad. You got to make sure that it's like, compelling. You have to have either the right squeeze page or have like a lead capture. And then you have to have like some SDRs that call those leads and then schedule them. So like it'll get the right people, you'll get the right leads, but converting them might be a little harder. Getting the trust will be a little bit harder. But if you do this long form game that I'm talking about, guaranteed results. It just will take some time, you know? Yeah.
Penny.
If I just may add something to what Elijah said.
Mm-hmm.
So you can build trust also in this digital means because you're using the meta ads, but then you bring them over to a video series or basically a video that explains and give them the extra free stuff that in parallel in reality you would give in an event, but you just do it in a digital manner. And again, like if they're sending like a few email tips or something like that, that also they kind of like you're moving from somebody unknown to somebody that they kind of know, and then you can also ask for the meeting and things like this. So that comes hand in hand with that as well.
Penny.
Yeah, that transfer of trust is definitely important. So Trevor, my question was a bit more philosophical. Uh, so from what I heard from Elijah, you work primarily with teachers or educators. Oh, is he frozen?
Maybe.
Yeah, he looks frozen.
I think what he said, I don't know, he didn't mention and he's rejoining actually right now. He didn't mention a target market in his message, but he does team building and leadership development. So I'm guessing it would be business based. Trevor, we were just wondering who your niche is. Who's your
Yeah,
ideal?
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed your intro. I wasn't clear on it.
So Sparks of Wonders would serve like schools, groups, basically anything that has a team. I used to be a district manager, and then before that, I was a youth and family program supervisor, and I overseed a team of 27 teachers. And along my journey, I noticed that I really had a superpower for building up teams and making people feel empowered and providing that experience. And so I launched the company to kind of do that uh, at a broader view for companies and just basically any group that has a team, just creating that experience to level it up.
Okay. So if you were to work with, because I'm just trying to niche it down, right? If you were to work with an educator, right, or like a school, and they were looking at potential prospects to work with in terms of team building, right, or team building exercises for their students, what would be the first thing that you want them to know about you?
That I connect really well with youth, and that I bring a lot of energy to the table and am really good at getting everyone to engage into a centralized idea or activity.
Okay, getting everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I think if you position yourself as a trusted professional, right, in that regard, right, and kind of start there, it would be really easy to one connect with them because you have that educational experience, right, working with
Yeah.
school, working with teachers. So that gets your foot in the door with that niche, right? And then if you were to take that same message that you just said to social, right? You would definitely want to change up the messaging, whether you're on Instagram or LinkedIn, right? So Instagram, typically you want to be a bit more fun, a bit more, quirky, show some testimonials, show the results of that trust exercise, that team building exercise, right? On LinkedIn, I would say the positioning in your content would be a little bit different, right? Like what makes you a good partner, right? That would be more like results oriented, results focused. And then how does that translate when they see your website, right? Does it look professional? Does it look like you've worked with these kinds of people in your niche, right? And does it reflect that same message, that same brand identity that you've been cultivating, right? And like Elijah was saying, business cards are, I don't want to say out of fashion, but definitely outdated, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it would be a lot easier if you had like some connectivity from the website. You know what I mean? Like if you had a sign up sheet, if you had your calendar there, if you had it connected to a CRM, if you brought, like you said, a QR code with you to these networking events so they could scan it, take a look. They have all your information there, front page, center. And then based on that conversation that they've had, that'll determine whether they want to first take a look or not, two, schedule a meeting, and three, whether you're going to convert them, right? So just food for thought, right? Consider the brand identity, the message that you want to get across, right? And once you have that and you start saying that message out loud to people, is it resonating, right? Are they understanding what your message is or what you intended to be? And then from there, how do you start putting that on different platforms, right? So start with one, right? I would say Facebook is not a bad place to start. Um, Probably LinkedIn as well. I would say one to two, right? But understand the nuance between one platform having a different tone and content, and then the other one being a bit more professional, you know. So yeah, that would be my 2 cents.
Perfect. I'm gonna throw my website in the chat just in case anyone wants to take a peek at it.
Charles.
Where are you located, Trevor?
I'm in Spokane, Washington.
Okay. So, one of the things so the first thing I'm going to recommend you do, because I get this feeling as you talked about your business, it sounds like you have a good idea of what you want to do and you kind of know how you want to go about it. You're just not sure how the heck to explain it to someone that doesn't know what you do. That's what it
Okay.
comes off as. Okay.
Okay.
Like we have no, you assume that we didn't have any idea of what you actually do. And so you tried to word it in a way that we would understand it, and yet you stumbled on it. And that's
Okay.
perfectly normal. Okay. We all start off that way. So the first thing I would encourage you to do is I wouldn't even worry about your social media right now. I would go to lunchclub.com.
Okay.
Okay. And there's a reason why I'm telling you to go here, because these are going to be a bunch of throwaways. Okay. But it's good practice. Okay. You just need to have more conversations to start off.
Okay.
Okay. You need to start having conversations. The nice thing about Lunch Club is you basically set your schedule. Hey, I'm willing to do a 30-minute meeting 3 times a week, and that's it. Like I'm gonna block that off on my calendar, and that's what Lunch Club does. It will automatically block it off on your calendar, and based on your interests and what your business is about and your goals and stuff, it will automatically match you up with someone to have a meeting with, a one-to-one meeting with. Okay. So that will just get you more conversations. It'll get you more comfortable talking about your business, what your value proposition is, who you're looking to connect with. But I also don't want you to go into those with the mindset of finding your customer. Okay. The worst thing people do when they go to networking is they're looking for a customer. That is the absolute wrong thing to do in networking. Now, you may inherently end up with a customer. Okay. Not saying that you won't, but that is never the goal of networking. Networking is meant for partnerships. Now, you may get some partnerships through Lunch Club by having these conversations. Okay. The best part about a partnership is what you're really looking for is your golden goose. I love a golden goose because they just keep laying golden egg after golden egg after golden egg. What you should be looking for is the people that already have your ideal client. Who are you looking to work with and who already has those? So when I started a CRM company, much like someone else said, I went back where I came from. I spent over 20 years in automotive doing CRMs and data management systems for Toyota Corporate, Ford Corporate, Cox Automotive, which is part of Cox Media. Done it for over 20 years. So I went back there. That's where I started. I already knew that industry. I already had connections in that industry for, a couple decades. So it was a great place to start. After that, that got me my first 10, 15 clients, and I was able to get out of the red. Then I knew I wanted to scale fast. So I worried about partnerships next. I didn't do cold calls. I didn't do cold email. I put up some social content that at least there was something there, so I looked like a real business. Okay. I had a shit website. And honestly, it didn't even matter because all I was focused on was talking to people and finding people that already had my customer. Who needs a CRM? Well, if they're paying $5,000 for a website, I sure to God hope they have a CRM. Otherwise, they're just pissing away $5,000. If they're paying someone to run ads or do email marketing or anything like that, I sure hope to God they have a CRM. If they don't, they're pissing away money. So I focus on partnering with web developers, ad strategists, um, ad agencies, social media companies, um, people, business consultants, people that were already working with my ideal customer. And in turn, they solved the problem for me because I knew at scale what happens when you go to a mechanic, or let's say you have a plumber. You've used the same plumber for 10 years. You've never needed an electrician until today. What do? You call your plumber that you trust and have always trusted and said, "Hey, do you know any electricians that you would trust?" You ask for the referral. That's where that partnership comes in because I'm connecting with them because they have my client, but also it's a return path. If I have a client that comes to me for a CRM, I don't want to build their website. Hell no. You don't want me drawing a stick figure and shoot me in the head for ads. No, thank you. So I will happily refer that out, and it's a two-way street. And you just end up getting, and you're piggybacking off of the trust that's already established with them. Someone else said that earlier today. So partnerships are really vital. You just need to get more comfortable in having that conversation, clearly expressing who you are, what you do, and why you do it. And if you can get super comfortable with that, it doesn't matter what room you walk into, you will walk out with partnerships, referrals, or clients. but you have to get that word track down. That's why I want you to go to Lunch Club. Let the social media sit there, let the website sit there. I would not worry about paper business cards. Just get a QR code, unless you just like contributing to global warming, like I put in the, because it's going to go in the trash. So focus on your message and how you communicate what it is you do. And as you're having these conversations, think about, who is my golden goose? Like, you want to work with teachers and you want to affect children, right? Essentially.
Well, so I think that that's just like one area of it, because essentially it would be anyone that has teams. And so like kids make up a team, and there can be teams of kids, but
But
like
that's your passion
anyway,
point. That's your
yeah.
passion point though, right? Okay, so
So recently, my last career, I was a
mhm.
district manager for a pizza place. And obviously, like that doesn't align with my education at all. But within my career there, I found my talent, in just wanting to build teams and wanting to create a place, where people wanted to be. And so building that experience and running those, I guess you could say, like staff meetings.
What was
Is
the other place? So what I'm trying to get at is there was a reason why you mentioned teachers and kids. There's
correct.
something that like you did at some point in your life, because you wouldn't have said that if it wasn't a passion point. Like you
Correct.
would not have led with that. And so there's some kind of passion. The reason I say that is, think about schools. How can you get in front of schools? How can you get in front of private schools? How can you get, I've got a friend, she does, what is it? It's a government funded kind of preschool
Oh,
program.
ECAP,
It's all over what is it?
ECAP,
Yeah,
Head
Head Start,
Start. Yeah,
Head
ECAP,
Start.
Head Start, like the same thing.
All she does, she flies all over the country going in because they run off of government money, and she goes in and cleans up their program, organizes the business because it's still a business. It's education, but it's still a business. She
Yep.
puts all the systems and processes in place, and that's what she does. There's a bunch of people out there that do that same exact thing. They go in and clean up the business side of educational institutions. Those are your golden goose. If you can piggyback off, okay, now your operations are in place. Why don't we get your team and motivated so it stays in place, so you didn't just drop 50
Yeah.
grand paying someone that's just going to go to crap in 3 months because you can't work as a team. So think about those different, like, people that you've run into or you could find on LinkedIn, or you may run into Lunch Club. Think about that golden goose, work on establishing those relationships, get those partnerships going, and you'll get better at presenting, and they can get you in front of other people. You join the chamber. Good Lord, if you're not already part of the chamber, it's the easiest thing to do as a business. Just go join the chamber. If you're not sure about it, go to a free mixer. They have them all the time. Go to a free breakfast, free coffee, whatever. You don't have to be a member to go to most of them. So go, introduce, shake hands,
Okay.
shake hands, kiss babies, the whole 9 yards. I mean, that's what it is. But start at Lunch Club, have more conversations. You'll really start to identify your actual pitch, so to speak. I hate using that word, but um, you'll learn about what you do want to do and what you don't. And like we spoke earlier, you can narrow down your actual target market. Okay, well, instead of just working with any team out there, I want to work with this. I really like talking to these people. So
Okay.
that's my recommendation.
Thank you.
Yogev, I will let you go in just a moment. I'm gonna wrap us up for the night. We're running a bit behind, which is great. I love it when the conversations are good. Did you want to share something real quick before I ended the call?
I want to say thank you for everybody. It was great ideas. It's actually nice to see this. This is literally what I'm doing right now, and kind of like condensing or enlarging my niches. So that was a good idea. And just as a drop off as another idea to what you guys talked about now, I started making like a presentation of my service to these collaborators. Like usually people do it for clients, but I did it for collaborators. I actually showed them the whole process, how I work, what do they get, what their clients are going to get, when they're sending people to me. So I started doing this in this one-on-one slash Zoom. So I think this works very well. I got really good feedbacks from that. So that's a little last tip about it. And I totally agree with what Charles said. These things, collaborators, that's kind of like a really great way to go. And thanks to everybody. And I have to go. I go to
Yeah,
another meeting.
good night.
Thank
Thanks, or good morning for you.
you. Good morning. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, Charles, you touched on something we do, obviously, maybe not obviously, but this is a little bit different of a networking group than most of what's out there where, I do focus on making real genuine connections here. Like I like to get deep into it and like make real friends and have the long-term relationships. So keep coming back here and building upon what you've started tonight. And it'll get easier as you go. Kenny always leaves us with a little treat.
Yeah, a little nugget. And one thing I will say is that Charles and I met at a prior networking event, and he was awesome, and he still is today, so I don't expect any different next time.
Thanks, Charles.
But yeah, with that said, our quote today comes from Rob Walling, who says, "The genius of niches is that they allow room to focus on an underserved audience. Once you've succeeded in that niche, you can leverage your success to establish credibility for your business to move into larger markets." And I pass it back to Abby.
All right, guys. Same time, same place every week. And we're still workshopping throughout the rest of August. So really, whatever your needs are is kind of what we're talking about. Um, I'm giving away 2 free memberships to my business Kickstart Accelerator. If you want to join, Trevor, feel free to email me. I'm doing it in the spirit of being hacked last week because clearly what I'm doing is irritating somebody out there, and so I just want to like drive the knife in. So join. Let's build. Kenny, you like that? Yeah, so thank you. And this will be up on Spotify and YouTube by probably tomorrow night sometime. So yes.
Sounds good. Well,